and welcome to another Lambda Ethereum Consensus Daily. As always, I'm going to start sharing the YouTube link. And that's it. Great. So updates. Yesterday at the end of day, I finished the sync aggregates PR, so it's ready for review. Both minimal and main spec is working. So minimal was working the other day, but we have the issue related to other nodes stopping picking up the contributions we made after we subscribed to the topic. As you mentioned, Tommy, it was exactly that. It was the accept in the collector. So I already added that. It worked, and the other nodes started to pick it up. So minimal was complete, and then I continue working on main. And yeah, it was a bit messy. I have all the information. It's difficult to debug, but in the end, it was due to two things. One was an issue regarding some aggregation bits that were like flipping in the case of the ORs because an error I have in the code. But once I solved that, that was pretty easy. Then I have another issue that it took me more time.
I think we lost you, Rodri.
Yeah, I'm here again. I don't
All
know
right.
where I was like cut it off.
When you started explaining the second issue, like we
Ah,
fully got the first one, but when you started explaining the second one, then yeah,
great,
stuff
great.
happened.
So the second one was related to the big vector new. I was like I have the bits aggregated already. It was a bit string. I just did the big vector new, and that like messed things up. That was difficult to find. I didn't like dig into why because just removing that everything works because both big vector, bit field, and every one of those are just bit strings, so types match, and that's not a problem. But yeah, things are working. So it worked. It was mostly the end of day, and I have everything in place. I made a large test, and I found some issue related to like 2% of blocks. So we are the majority of validators. We are proposing blocks almost in every slot. 2 blocks per 100 slots are missed, and they are missed through signature validation. So I need to find out why, but I just opened the PR because it's like 2%. I'm going to create an issue if you happen to review it before I found this bug. If that happened, I'm going to create an issue. But I wanted to this morning. I was working on another thing unrelated. I started a small refactor that was bugging me, and I just want to do something that was easier and have like a quick PR in place. So I'm tackling the add and remove logic that was in lib2p, then we want to move it to the validator set, and we also want to move the K-store functions outside of it. So I'm going to have that PR ready today for review. But yeah, I just like wanted to do something else and then continue debugging the issue related these 2% of blocks. So yeah, that's for me. I'm going to continue on this. I'm going to finish probably this PR for today, and then I'm going to start to again continue looking into those 2% and why it's happening. So yeah, that's it.
That sounds awesome. Congrats on the progress. One small note on the bit vector, the bit vector new, which is something that might be useful for you. If I remember correctly, because I might not, it's been a while. Bit vector new assumes that the wrapped like the parameter that you pass it is encoded. And in terms of bit vectors and bit strings, you could wonder, hey, what does it mean that this is encoded? That like it's all bit strings. For some, like God knows why reason, in Ethereum, bit vectors and others are encoded in a certain kind of way. There's a full documentation on this, I think, in the repo. If I think I uploaded that at some point. There's a markdown on bitlist, bit vectors, etc. But basically, like, because it's easier to operate in some endian nesses than others, the thing that we do is flip all of the bits. Like,
Oh,
so
okay.
when yeah, so basically, like, this is a long one, and like the full explanation is on that markdown, that which is probably the best way to understand it if you want to. Like, at this
Sure,
point, you
sure,
already
sure.
figured it out. But basically, you always should think of bit vectors and bit lists as if they were integers, right? And you are performing bit operations on them. So like the encoded representation that you use when you share a bit vector or bit list or whatever is the little endian representation of that. However, there's a catch, because the representation of the indexes are not in any endianness that is known to humanity. They are just like the least significant bit.
Yes.
So
Okay.
so and bit, not byte. So
Yes,
it's
bits,
kind
bits.
of
That's for
like,
sure. Yeah.
yeah. So it's kind of like if it was like bit, like little endian, but bitwise, not bytewise, which is the
Okay.
typical little endian.
Yes.
But like, for what concerns this issue, the only important part is that bit vector new just flips the bytes,
Yes.
because it moves from little endian to big endian, because it's easier to do shifts and other kind of that kind of stuff.
Okay. Okay.
Um, so, like, if what you were seeing was literally flipping of bits,
Yes.
that
It's
means that,
exactly
yeah,
exactly that was so. I like have all the debug working, but when the things get into the check and validation, the bits were flipped, and I was like, hey, I just go part for the code, and everything was in the right order, and yeah, it was the big vector new, but I didn't like dig more, because it was like it was really end of day. I
yeah,
was okay, it's working great, and
of
and
course.
and
So,
just
like,
pushing it. But yeah,
the only
I
final note is, what we usually want is to have a bit vector new at the beginning.
at the
Then
beginning.
we're always like in the bit vector object kind of spec, and then when we want to serialize that, we do like bit vector dot, I don't remember if it's to binary or to
Yes,
bytes or
yes.
whatever, but that flips the bits again.
Okay,
Like, the
okay,
new and the encode are basically the same thing, if I
okay.
remember correctly.
Okay, great, great. Thanks. I'm going to look at that for sure. I was like just delaying the going to understand why, but yeah, great, great. Thanks, Tommy.
Again, there's no rush on like seeing the details on this. This was just to give you some insight of why the
Yes,
error
yes.
that
Why
you
it's
like.
happening? Great. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. That makes a lot
But
of
it's
sense.
great that you figured it out yourself. I don't think I have any more comments. So the other one, like the other fix, was related to the accept, which is nice, and
Yes,
then the flipping of the bits, and then you're debugging the new issue, which is like 2% of the nodes
yes,
of the
yes.
block.
And
Sorry.
and and as far as I could saw in one of the debugs today,
Yeah,
there wasn't an issue in aggregation bits. So aggregation bits were correct. And that
nice,
that was what surprised me, and say, okay, then I'm going to take another one, and then going back again to this with a fresh mind. So yeah,
awesome.
yeah, yeah. So
All
that
right, yeah, I will review the PR very quickly after
awesome,
the
awesome.
daily.
Yes, it's a shorter one this time, so that's
Nice,
that's that's best than the other previous ones. So yeah.
awesome.
And okay, well, so that's all for us, and I hope to see you all on Monday. So have a good weekend.
See you on Monday.